7 VR horror games on Quest 3 are worth your time in 2026, and this list is ranked by one simple test. Does the fear come from the game itself or from a jump scare you saw coming a mile away? Real physical horror in VR means your body reacts before your brain catches up, ducking under a table, actually turning your head to check a doorway, fumbling to reload a gun with your own hands while something gets closer. That's the bar for this list, and a few well-known names didn't make the cut because they lean on cheap scares instead of that physical dread. Every game here is still being played, still getting updates, and still holding a strong rating on the MetaQuest store right now, not just at launch. Number 7 starts the list, and the ranking only gets more intense from there, with the top pick being the one long-time VR horror fans keep bringing up unprompted. At number 7, Propagation, Paradise Hotel puts you inside a single hotel room with almost no ability to move, which sounds like a limitation until you realize that's exactly what makes it work. You're stationary, which means every threat has to come to you, and the sound design does the heavy lifting, footsteps in the hallway, static bursts on an old television, a door handle turning slowly enough that you have real time to panic. It's a shorter experience than most on this list, closer to 90 minutes than a full campaign, but those 90 minutes are dense. The stationary setup also makes it one of the more comfortable options for players who get motion sick in VR, since there's no locomotion to trigger it. It's not the flashiest game on this list, but for a focused, contained scare with almost zero fluff, it earns its spot at number 7. Number 6 is The Exorcist, Legion VR, a multi-episode horror game built around a single detective investigating a possession case in 1970s New York. What sets it apart from most VR horror is the pacing. It's structured almost like a slow burn crime drama for the first half of each episode before it turns into something much darker, and the sound design uses binaural audio deliberately. So a whisper directly behind your head lands exactly where you'd expect a real whisper to land. The build shows its age little compared to newer Quest 3 titles, but the atmosphere and voice acting still hold up in 2026, and the episodic structure means you can play it in focused 40-minute sessions instead of committing to a marathon. If period horror with real detective work appeals to you more than pure jump scares, this one rewards patience in a way most horror games don't bother to. At number 5, Wraith, the Oblivion, Afterlife flips the usual horror formula. You're not running from a ghost, you're one. You play as a spirit trapped in an abandoned mansion, using stealth and ghostly abilities to avoid the demon hunting you while piecing together how you died. That reversal changes the tension completely, since you're forced to move slowly and deliberately through the mansion, rather than sprinting away from a threat, and getting caught means genuinely losing progress, not just a cheap scare. The mansion itself is dense with environmental storytelling, letters, photographs, and rooms that reward players who actually stop and look instead of rushing to the next objective. It's a slower, more atmospheric pick than the rest of this list, and if you've burned out on run and hide horror, playing the ghost instead of the victim is a genuinely different kind of unsettling. Number 4 is Alien, Rogue Incursion, and if you know the Alien franchise, you already know what you're signing up for. A single xenomorph that hunts by sound and can appear from any vent, any shadow, any moment you let your guard down. Developed by Servios, it puts you in the role of an independent operator investigating a distress signal, armed with a motion tracker that beeps faster as the alien closes in, which is somehow more stressful than any jump scare could be. The game leans hard on tension over combat. You spend most of it avoiding a fight you can't win, rather than shooting your way through, which stays true to what made the original films work. Reviewers have pointed out that its atmosphere and creature AI are genuinely some of the best translations of a horror movie into a VR mechanic, and it earns its spot near the top of this list for exactly that reason. Numbers 3 and 2 both lean on survival pressure instead of pure scares. Metro Awakening, a prequel to the Metro game series, puts you underground in irradiated tunnels where every bullet, filter, and flashlight battery is limited, so the horror comes from resource math as much as monsters. Checking your gas mask seal in a real physical motion while something scratches at a vent above you. At number 2, Little Nightmares VR, Altered Echoes takes the unsettling, oversized world aesthetic of the Little Nightmares games and rebuilds it for VR, where being small in a world built for something much larger hits differently once you're actually standing inside it. Both games got real updates through 2026, rather than being left alone after launch, which matters more than people realize, since a lot of early VR horror games shipped once and were never touched again. These two are proof the genre is still being taken seriously by the people making it. At number 1, Resident Evil 4 VR remains the game other horror titles on this list get compared to, and in 2026 is still the best argument for why VR horror works at all. Reloading a pistol by physically pulling a new magazine from your vest, throwing a knife with an actual overhand motion, barricading a window with your own hands while villagers pound on the other side. None of that translates to a flat screen controller the same way. It's a full campaign, not a short experience. And the physical mechanics turn a game plenty of people already know inside out into something that catches you off guard again. If you're picking just one game from this list to start with tonight, this is it, both because it's the most complete experience and because it's the one that best explains why everything else on this list exists in the first place. Tomorrow's video breaks down the headset question a lot of people ask before they even buy their first horror game, Quest 3 or Quest 3S. If this list helped you find your next game, subscribe so you don't miss it. Which one on this list have you actually played? And did it live up to the hype?